Welcome to the Royals Rundown Podcast, a Kansas City Royals podcast presented by Royals Review. He is Jeremy Greco. I am Jake Milham, and in the spirit of Nelson Velasquez, let's crush it. Jeremy, how's your week been so far?
It's been a pretty good week. We had baseball all last weekend. I have discovered a new obsession to talk about when we get to the Royals reviews.
Okay.
We're podcasting.
Yeah.
What could be better?
I know, right? It is. I am enjoying us getting back to 2 episodes a week. It's very enjoyable. It's very therapeutic to get back onto that schedule. Yeah, man, it's only Wednesday, but we are, it feels like it's been Friday, or it should be Friday. Just, it's been a very long week, but let's talk about some Kansas City Royals baseball. That is why we are here, after all. If you want to keep updated on the Kansas City Royals, you've got to go check out royalsreview.com. You can also support the podcast further by following us on X at Royal Rundown Pod. That is RoyalRundownPod. Also, make sure to check our polls and Q&As on Spotify. Each week, we give you a chance to answer our question, and we will read your responses on air. We're going to move that to later on in the show, so stick around for that. Coming up in today's episode, we will run down the spring training results since the last podcast, the largest tiny detail causing a stir around MLB. But first, Jeremy, we have to talk about these bullpen injuries, man. I'm going to pass it over to you real quick because I feel like I'm eating crow after it was 3 episodes ago we said, oh, the bullpen is full. Why are they going to trade for John Schreiber? They don't need him. They have guys like Carlos Hernandez and Will Klein, guys waiting in the wings. Well, now they're already down 2 relievers. Jeremy, before I get your thoughts real quick, let's go ahead and hear from Royals manager Matt Quatrero on the latest injuries.
Do you have injury updates on Carlos and Chamberlain?
Yep, Carlos did not come out of his bullpen well the other day, so he's going to be shut down and tomorrow get an injection. It is something that has been nagging him since he got into camp. He tried to throw through it and just didn't feel comfortable at this time pushing forward.
Just reading between the lines, does that rule him out for opening day, you think? Or?
Well, we're hopeful it's a short-term shutdown. You get the injection, which will be tomorrow, and then there's a rest period to let it do its job, and then I'll have to follow up with KT to see how they determine how long the shutdown needs to be.
Mm-hmm. And then how about Christian Chamberlain?
Chamberlain, unfortunately, we found out has a tear of the UCL, complete tear, so he'll be out. He's going to assess his options and all that kind of stuff, talk to his parents, his agent, his family, all that. But, he'll be out.
Hey, Hunter Renfroe, how's he feeling as he progresses with the back tightness?
Yeah, he's doing fine. He's out here for the second day in a row. He's still scheduled to play tomorrow.
All righty. Thank you, sir. And just to clarify, that was from Tuesday, and it is now Wednesday. The Royals are playing against the Seattle Mariners right now, and Hunter Renfroe was not in the lineup. We will see if he appears in the game at all. So, Jeremy, Carlos Hernandez down. He is shut down for the time being. A little questionable, it sounds like, for opening day. Christian Chamberlain was another guy that he had an outside shot, it felt like, to make the bullpen, maybe, but that's a big blow, a top 30 prospect losing the season to Tommy John, it sounds like. How much does this affect the Royals bullpen come opening day, in your opinion?
Honestly, I don't think it affects it at all. I think I'm going to try and have another roster preview this weekend, and I've been kind of thinking about it. And Carlos Hernandez wasn't in the bullpen for me. Christian Chamberlain wasn't even on the radar because of that John Schreiber addition. I'm not sure that Carlos Hernandez should have been in the bullpen even without Schreiber. But with Schreiber, it seemed like a really prime opportunity to send him down to AAA and let him work on some stuff and let maybe some more competitive guys kind of stick in the bullpen for now. But it is a bummer for him, certainly, because even if he wasn't going to make the opening day roster, he definitely wants to be in AAA pitching so that
Yeah.
he can make his case to come back. So hopefully this is a short-lived injury. It's all Christian Chamberlain's injury. Again, I don't think it impacts the roster this season, but it does slow down his timeline for when we might expect to see him. Instead of maybe early next year, now it's late next year at the earliest, and probably really into 2026. So it's really a bummer for him.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I pulled up Fangraph's roster resource. The powers that be already have that up to date. So thank you very much for those folks over there. They slid in Josh Taylor to replace Carlos Hernandez, and I'm not even super certain about that. Josh Taylor, Jake Brentz, those guys unfortunately have not been stellar from the left hand side of the bullpen. So outside of Will Smith, this bullpen desperately needs lefties. It feels like, at least to replace Carlos Hernandez for the time being.
If only they had a well-regarded left-handed relief pitching prospect who maybe pitched a few innings last year, who had pitched for the team before, but there's nobody like that out there, and there certainly never was.
Yeah, I don't know who you think you're talking about, Jeremy.
Well, all I know is that a guy like that, I'm pretty sure the ladies would love him.
Yeah, that is. I should probably check in to see how he's doing this spring. I was just glad that he's back in pitching. So I'm looking down the depth chart, and we got non-roster invites that very much feel like they are in play for the opening day bullpen, simply because they're lefties and not much more. Guys like Sam Long and Walter Pennington are two names who come to mind.
Walter Pennington is absolutely, and it's 2 innings in the first week of spring training. So don't rush out there and buy the jersey. Okay. But for 2 innings in the early spring training, you can't get much better than 6 strikeouts and no runners allowed.
Yeah, that's pretty good in my book. I'll take that for starting off.
I really want to. I'm ready to take my victory lap for having included him in the mix when we were talking about pitchers that we could possibly see this year. But I probably should hold off on that, because if I do, he'll immediately give up 5 home runs and immediately get demoted to minor league camp or something.
That's typically how karma works sometimes when it comes to baseball. And hey, we are still a month to the day away from opening day, so a lot can change between now and then. Unfortunately, I'm just really ready for opening day to be here. I feel like, okay, we've already played enough games. Let's get to the stadium.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. It's like, okay, baseball's back. All right, this is spring training. I want the real thing now. About a week later.
No, not that baseball. But
it's like I want baseball. We've got baseball at home.
Spring training baseball in the cabinet. So to wrap this up, Jeremy, we don't know how long Carlos Hernandez is going to be out. Shoulder things for fastball first pitchers are always tricky, though. We've seen that time and time again around MLB. So, in your opinion, in a scale of 1 to 10, how much do these 2 injuries change the bullpen's outlook for 2024?
Again, 0% for me.
Yeah.
Well, okay, not 0%, because I do think Carlos Hernandez was going to factor in eventually, and he still might. It really depends on the severity of the injury. I do worry, like you said, a fastball first guy with a shoulder injury, and he is a big dude. He is tall and he is broad. So it always feels like those guys take a little bit longer to come back from their injuries than the smaller, lankier guys. But maybe that's just bias on my part. I don't know. But that's what it seems like to me. Oh, and then again, there's Salvi also to just completely counter that argument. He's also a big dude who I did something that's a 6-week return timeline. I'll be back tomorrow. It'll be fine.
He was absurd. Salvi doesn't count. He's an outlier, man. He doesn't count for any injuries.
So I'll say that it affects the bullpen 10% because, again, I don't think Chamberlain was pitching for Kansas City this year.
Okay.
And I think Hernandez had a role and may still have a role. I just don't think it was ever necessarily going to be a large one.
Okay, fair enough. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want to put it at a 2. I agree with you. I don't think that Hernandez was going to be the high leverage guy for the Kansas City Royals, at least to start off the season. If there's an injury or a trade, I think he could have been worked back into that role, but he just kind of flamed out when he was in that role last year. So it's I'm curious how much he actually was going to factor into that. And like you said, Chamberlain was a long shot to make his MLB debut this year. But now he is certainly at 0%, unfortunately. So next time we will make sure to talk about who we think will take Hernandez's place in the MLB bullpen, because I want to stress this. Quatrero said that this is a nagging injury. Hernandez came to camp with this shoulder injury and tried to pitch through it. So that's a little concerning for me personally. But let's keep things down in Arizona, where the Kansas City Royals are pursuing that illustrious Cactus League pennant. Jeremy, I mean, that's the flag you want flying out in the outfield, right?
The flags fly forever, they tell me.
That they do. So, Jeremy, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage. So, our last episode came out on Monday, and there's been a handful of games since then. So, first off, the Royals, they looked unstoppable against the Chicago Cubs. They beat them 6-0. 10 hits overall from the Royals, including a 3-run homer from the one and only Nick Pratto. Seth Lugo also made his Royals spring training debut, pitching 2 innings of shutout ball. Let's hear from the new Royals starter moments after his start.
Felt good. Some adrenaline, some nerves. It's fun to get back playing some live action again.
You did have some nerves out there. What was the adrenaline like?
Same nerves as every year. First game, first spring training game. Excited to get out there. Didn't quite sleep the greatest. Just
really
excited, ready to go.
So even after all this, all this time in the big leagues, you still get a little nervous going out there for the first time.
Yeah. If you're nervous, you don't care, right? Hopefully that feeling never leaves me. That's that's the best feeling about baseball is, being nervous, going out there and performing and overcoming that.
What was it like working with Austin back behind the plate or something?
It was good. Threw to him a lot last year, but I've had a couple pitch upgrades since then. So, he got to see some of my new stuff that I didn't use last time I pitched with him. But it was fun. We worked well together. So it was good outing between us both.
What was the pitch upgrades that you had?
New sweeper, new cutter, new changeup since last time I threw to him.
Is that all this off season or a little bit last year?
No, the changeup and sweeper were in the middle of the year last year.
Okay.
And then the cutters this off season.
Okay. What do you hope to achieve with the new cutter?
Just give hitters a different look. I feel like in this game, it's important to be able to come up with new stuff, give hitters different looks, especially guys you've been facing for 10 plus years. It's always nice to have a new weapon when you're facing familiar faces.
What's it been like just to get to know your new teammates, get to know new coaching staff and everything these first couple weeks of spring?
Well, it's been easier since we got our jerseys.
Yeah.
The first week was a little tough, but it's been nice. It's been welcoming. A lot of good dudes in there, and it's still some chemistry to get together between all of us. But it's going well.
How do you? I've seen you kind of go out and watch other lives, bullpens. Do you offer your thoughts, or you're just kind of watching and observing? What does that look like for you?
Well, I'm always open to talk about pitching. It's the only thing I really feel comfortable talking about. But I'm just trying to see some guys, see what kind of stuff they got, but also see the way they go about their business. And if any of them want to talk to me or approach me, I'm always welcome to that.
Game day internship with the Omaha Storm Chasers is the perfect opportunity for a college student interested in exploring a career in the sports industry. Storm Chasers interns have the chance to work in almost every aspect of game day and event operations at Warner Park, while gaining knowledge about the inner workings of minor league baseball. There's no better way to learn and grow while discovering your passions and goals than becoming a part of our Chasers family. To learn more about internship opportunities with the Storm Chasers, head to omahastormchasers.com or email Ania Tate, ANIYAT, at omahastormchasers.com.
Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm, we're family.
Baseball season is on its way, and there's no better place to spend the summer than with the Quad Cities River Bandits. From the Royals' top prospects on the field to a jam-packed promotional schedule, the fun never stops at Modern Woodman Park. Can't miss any of the action? Ticket packages are on sale now, with full season plans starting at less than $5 per game. Season ticket holders enjoy premium perks, including guaranteed giveaways, team store discounts, a full season parking pass, and so much more. For more information, visit riverbandits.com or call 563-324-3000.
Jeremy, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. So that always goes well for us, doesn't it?
I like the spot.
It's such a good problem to have to where you can't identify who the opening day starter is going to be yet.
Well, okay, so in this case, I think it might be a good problem. We've seen in other cases, such as last year, where it was not a good problem because the reason we couldn't figure out who the opening day starter was like, I don't know if I want any of these guys pitching.
You got me there. You got me there. This is a good iteration of that problem, is what I should say. It feels like Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, and Cole Reagans are all in the running for that opening day start. And we'll get to Wacha's spring training debut later on. But Lugo, he went out there, he did his job, struck out a guy, gave up a hit, but no runs allowed. That's what you want from your starters. If you had to pick one of those three right now, who is making the opening day start and why?
Gosh, it's so tough.
I know.
I really want to go with Cole Reagans just because the upside is so high with him and he pitched so well at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And also he's kind of more the future of the team.
Yeah.
And those other guys, he's younger, he's under contract for longer. But at the same time, like I can absolutely see an argument to not put too much pressure on him and let one of the other two guys kind of have that opening day start. Certainly, I think Cole Reagans should be no worse than day two starter because I want him to have as many opportunities to start games for me as possible in 2024. So I'm going to say either Seth Lugo or Cole Reagans. I think he's a little bit under contract for a little bit longer. Again, he's got the player options, but everybody does. So his contract is up to 3 years. So I think if it's not going to be Reagans, if you're really like, no, I don't want to put that much pressure on him. He hasn't even done this over a full season yet. And the Royals, I think, have been overly aggressive with guys in the past where it's like, all right, well, you showed us something, so now you're the guy.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't hurt to just be like, listen, you're the guy, but you're not the opening day guy. So, all right, I've talked myself into Seth Lugo.
Okay, I like it because I'm going to go with choice number 3. I'm going to go with Michael Wacha is my prediction to make that opening day start. And I don't think you can go wrong with any of these 3. I do want to clarify that they all have great chances at making that opening day start. I just think that, Michael Wacha, he has a much longer track record as a starting pitcher than Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans combined. And if you want a guy at the top of the rotation like that, it's a guy like Michael Wacha. He's not volatile. You know what you're getting whenever he goes out there and starts. Does he have better seasons than others? Of course he does. And we'll get to his start against the Padres because that was absolutely great in my opinion. We'll get to that later on. But I would pick Michael Wacha over Reagans and Lugo. And to your point, Jeremy, about not putting too much pressure on Reagans, I had a piece come out on Kings of Kaufman talking about that, because there is so much behind the scenes that we don't know. We hear the press conferences, we see the stats. That's about it. And if the Royals don't think that Reagans is ready for that stage, or if he is honest with himself and says, "Hey, I kind of just want to focus on this. I don't want that pressure right now. Let's go ahead and slow roll me a little bit into that top rotation spot." I couldn't fault the Royals there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I will add on that if Cole Reagans pitches the entire 2024 season like he finished the 2023 season, he's your opening day starter in 2025. No one has any questions about that. You can write that in, and if it happens at the end of the year, you just write that down in pen. Cole Reagans is opening day starter.
I like it. So, hey, let's go ahead and keep on moving down these results. So, Tuesday was a split squad day. One half of the Royals squad faced off against the Rockies, where they won 4-3. But most of the eyes were on the 6-3 loss against the Padres, or at least my eyes were, because Michael Wacha made his Royals spring training debut. And man, it was only one inning. That's just how spring training goes. One inning, 2 strikeouts, and 2 strikeouts against 2 of the best baseball players in the National League, Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado. So I was super excited to see that. Jeremy, you made your stance known. I kind of backed myself into a corner when I talked about spring training stats, and they don't matter very much. But let me talk about these 2 strikeouts that this guy got in one inning. So I was just very excited to see. One strikeout was with the fastball, and the other strikeout was with the changeup. And the mechanics on both of those were very deceptive. They both looked exactly the same, and that's what you want with the fastball and changeup combination. I know there's no video out there, but do you have any thoughts on his performance against the Padres, or just that game in general?
Again, it's the first week of spring training.
Yeah,
Better stats are always positive. It's good.
Good.
I'm not worried about him right now. There are the guys that I look at those first week stats, and I'm not looking at anybody and being like, oh well, okay, everything's good. I am looking at some other guys and going, is everything okay? Yeah. So we might get to that in a little bit.
Well, and the one that I want to talk about is actually, or the one I'm focused on right now. You can bring me back to another one if I miss it. The one that I saw is Jake Brentz. I talked about him in the bullpen race, and unfortunately, he had another multi-walk outing against the Colorado Rockies. He didn't allow a hit, but he allowed 2 walks and 1 strikeout in his 1 inning of work. And I'm pulling up his overall spring training stats so far. So he has only 2 strikeouts to 6 walks so far in 1 1/3 innings of work. Like that is just absurd. I get it. He's coming back. There's going to be some rust there, but man, that is not what you want to see at all from the bullpen. Is there another guy that you're looking at that was like, this isn't looking good?
So the guy I've been kind of keeping an eye on, especially as I said, I get ready to write another roster prediction for this weekend, is Matt Sauer. Who we've all kind of assumed is definitely making the opening day roster. But we've also talked about how competitive the bullpen is. And if he's not going to be a contributor, it might not make sense to keep him on the team. Now, you might look at his sparkling 0.00 ERA and win in 2 games pitched, 3 innings, and be like, what are you talking about, Jeremy? And my response is, I'm talking about 2 walks and 4 hits. And an unearned run in those 3 innings. That is a 2 whip. Again, very early in spring training. Plenty of time to figure some stuff out. And if he impresses with his stuff at some point, because you lose him entirely if you don't, or you risk losing him entirely if you don't keep him on the 26-man roster. But that is someone who I'm definitely at least keeping a very close eye on right now.
Okay. And to that point about Matt Sauer, so folks who aren't aware, he was the Rule 5 draft pick for the Kansas City Royals this past winter. And I looked at the 2022 Rule 5 results, and there were 15 players selected around the league in the MLB portion of it. And 10 of those 15 were either traded away or returned to their previous organization. So just because the Royals took him, even if he does stick in the bullpen, that is him defying the odds, much less him actually being a contributor in the bullpen. I very much believe that Sauer will benefit from moving to the bullpen. I am hoping that this is just a bad stretch and that we're seeing some better things behind the scenes. But that's absolutely one to watch and something that should be considered for any roster projections going forward.
Here's another guy that I want to keep an eye on.
Okay.
As we're talking about the bullpen could use another lefty, and Jake Brentz is walking everyone, and Josh Taylor has not struck anybody out. Anthony Veneziano.
Oh, okay.
He's had I'm looking at 2 games, 4 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits, and a earned run allowed. Again, all of these stats very early, very small sample sizes, but he's a lefty and he's got something going right now.
Yep.
So again, not saying he's in the bullpen, but he's a guy I'm watching.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And something that fans do need to keep in mind is last year, it was a no-brainer that Jackie Bradley Jr. was going to make the opening day roster simply because A, he was okay in spring training, but B, because he was the guy available and healthy. So sometimes that's all you need to do is weather the spring training storm, and Anthony Veneziano could benefit from that. So let's see here. Those are the Tuesday game results. Again, the Royals split squad games. They won against the Rockies 4-3, but they lost against the Padres 6-3. Truth be told, Jeremy, I was kind of stalling, hoping that we would have a final result from the Wednesday's Mariners game, but unfortunately, they are still rocking and rolling right now. The Royals are leading that one though 6-5, so that's good to know. Like six runs in the 6th inning, and I see that look, Jeremy, because maybe I have not refreshed my page.
You haven't refreshed. It's 9-7 in the top of the 9th right now.
Thank you, Jeremy. Sorry, I thought the MLB page auto refreshed. That's my bad. But we'll get to the final result of that later on. See how that shook out for the Kansas City Royals. What?
Can I just mention one weird thing as I'm looking at this stats page?
What's up?
Tyler Cropley, by the way.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal hitting right now. His position on the Royals stats page is X.
What?
Nick Prado's a first baseman. Ryan Fitzgerald's a third baseman. Diego Hernandez is center fielder. Tyler Cropley is an X. I don't like. He's played a lot of designated hitter, so I don't know if like MLB.com is like, well, I don't know what his position is anymore. But I just had to throw that out there because I just noticed that and I was like, what is happening?
That I never even noticed that. That is very odd. Let's see here. Okay, we'll get to that box score later on when it actually finishes up. So, Jeremy, the thing that kind of set the MLB world abuzz this spring training outside of the on-field stuff has to be the piss poor jersey and pants designs. Designed by, I want to clarify this, designed by Nike, manufactured by Fanatics. That is the division of how this is going out. But both clearly have issues. They are both clearly just awful. But the Royals are actually on the right side of this news. I will say that. And I kudos to Paul Lucas over at UniWatch for doing some sleuthing and getting down to the bottom of this. So if you roll over to UniWatch, you're going to see this full article from Paul. Go check it out. Go support him. Go support his work. but the Royals' new jerseys have not been quite as jarring because of the lettering on the back, which is it's just crazy to me. And I saw Justin Verlander's jersey for example. He's got a long last name, but the letters are just they're minuscule, they're arching really weird, and they just don't look right. But the Royals are the only team in baseball right now who have kept that full size lettering on the back of their jerseys, and it's making a massive difference, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And I think this is an off field win for the Royals in my book. This is being universally praised by people who are paying attention to these details. Jeremy, what else did you think about this sleuthing and just the situation as a whole?
First of all, I think it really says something about MLB. He is Paul Lucas. You said his name was. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
He talked to Royals VP Sam Mellinger, or Mellinger. I can never remember how to pronounce that man's name. And asked like, how did this come about? And basically, the Royals kept asking, hey, can we just keep the full size letters? And eventually MLB was like, fine, sure, whatever. So apparently that's all it takes.
Apparently.
What I'm really curious is now that this has kind of become news around the sport, as I've seen lots of baseball adjacent outlets kind of pick up on this. How much longer until other teams go and ask if they can do it, and will MLB allow it? Because if MLB allows everyone to go back to the large letters, that could end poorly. And if everyone asks, will they force the Royals to go to the small letters? So that all is going to be very interesting to me. The other thing that I thought was really kind of funny is he asked, Nike claims that the letters are smaller because it makes the fabric lighter and more breathable. And so Lucas asked Mellinger if the Royals were concerned about being at a competitive disadvantage, and he said no, which is the correct answer.
Yeah.
If the letters on the back of the jersey were the problem, actually the Yankees don't have the letters on the back of the jerseys, right?
True.
And they're always so good. So maybe that's really the path forward, is to just get rid of the names entirely and really just root for laundry and not care about the players at all.
I guess so. Maybe that has been the secret this entire time.
Oh, and also like shave your beards and you'll be more aerodynamic. You'll get to first base faster.
Fast as frick.
The Yankees were right all along.
They had the formula this whole time.
I'm being sarcastic. Please don't find me.
Well, I mean, the Royals have won a World Series more recently than the New York Yankees.
There you go.
Yeah, we have that, and we did it with beards, so that is that certainly helps. And letters on the
yes, the beards were the reason. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. But yeah,
that reminds me of when Johnny Damon was leading the Wild Thing Red Sox
to
the World Series. And then he went to the Yankees and cut all of his hair and the beard off. And it's just like, but I thought you were the Wild Thing.
That was pretty gross to see in hindsight. But this whole jersey thing, it's a small detail, but this is I love it. I absolutely love it. I think this is great for the game. Sam did talk about the quote unquote reasoning behind wanting this, talking about connecting or for fans to connect with the team's players, according to Lucas. And I think that's a great reason.
100% behind that.
Yeah, and especially it's not something you think about it until you see it alongside other teams' jerseys. I suggest going over to UniWatch and checking out the article because he has a great little snapshot of it. It's a Royals first baseman right next to an Angels base runner, and it's super hard to read the Angels.
I still have no idea what that guy's name is. I stared at that picture.
And it goes to show it doesn't matter the length of the arch or anything like that. It's all about the printing.
Yep.
So I love this move, and I hope it's something that more MLB teams try to lobby for ahead of opening day.
As I said, I'm just really worried that a bunch of teams are going to lobby for it, and MLB is going to be like, no, we can't do that because then we offend our uniform partners, and now the Royals can't have their waiver. That's my fear right now.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm with you. I want all 30 teams to go back to the full size lettering.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that that's not how it's gonna go.
Well, only time will tell, unfortunately. They keep on saying that the MLB's statement about all this said, "Oh, we're sending out folks to pound the ground in spring training and try to talk about the fits and how the uniforms feel and stuff like that." I'm sorry, you don't need to be in an MLB clubhouse right now to see how the players feel about this. There was a Baltimore. No, they're not. There was a Baltimore. First off, the Baltimore newspaper put out an article and they quoted 4 different players. Number one, the players said that they wanted to be quoted anonymous because they were worried about backlash from the league. But then one of them went to say, this feels like a knockoff jersey from TJ Maxx. Yep. I mean, that is not what you want.
Yeah. I've heard them compared a lot to jerseys too, the t-shirt jerseys, which I wear all the time because they're very comfortable. But they do not look good. No. Like they do not look like a uniform like a professional athlete should be wearing. Mm-mm. They're also a heck of a lot cheaper than replica jerseys.
Yes, yeah, that is without a doubt. That's why there are more jerseys out there than replica jerseys. I will say that. All right, so let's go ahead and get to our Spotify Q&A responses. Again, those are exclusively on Spotify. You can't find it on any other podcast platform. Thank you to everyone who responds. We love hearing from you, your opinions about what we talk about, your responses to the question. And last episode, we asked you this question. What do you think of the new MLB uniforms? I think this is a very, very apt way to close out the show. The one and only Fistifer 1777 said, they make me feel funny in my tummy. And Fistifer, I think you might want to look at other reasons for feeling funny in your tummy than jersey.
Poor guy.
I know. Luke 5747 said, I can't believe Fanatics and Nike signed off on them. Just disappointing. I don't have the QT patch, though. I've realized teams are going to advertise anyway. They can, so why not? They're not awful. And Jeremy, we can talk about this for a second. The QT patch, I get it. It's bright. It's red. I've seen it on most of the Royals uniforms so far this spring training. It's not as jarring as even I was expecting it to be.
No, and I think there was kind of a mistake maybe that was made with the announcement to highlight the patches and have I think they had an image of 3 guys. I want to say Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, and somebody else standing there showing off with the patches on bright white uniforms. You put those on the road grays, you put those on the powder blues, get a little dirt on there, and suddenly they're much duller. Yeah. And you put a little distance between you and the patch, like instead of focusing the camera in on it. You're gonna see it. I'm not gonna say it's invisible. That would defeat the purpose of it. But this is not a thing that's just like the end of the world, or that you're not gonna be able to pay any attention to the game because you're gonna be staring at this bright red patch. It's gonna be okay.
That it is. And probably by the time opening day rolls around, we're gonna forget all about it. We're not even gonna notice it anymore. Nash fan Sam 13 said, I think they are rough. I'm glad I got a few real Royals jerseys across the last 2 years. Greinke, Pasquatch, and Bobby. I think that's a pretty good
nice collection.
Yeah, I like that. I'm jealous, man.
Me too.
That's pretty
awesome. I don't even collect jerseys and I'm jealous.
And hey, perfect timing. The Royals spring training game just went final. The Royals win 9-7 over the Seattle Mariners. They get their revenge on new Seattle Mariners, such as Colin Snyder and Jackson Kowar and Brian DeGuss. Do you remember him?
I do. I can never forget DeGuss. DeGuice.
DeGuice, yeah.
The guy. I don't know.
The guy. All right. Jeremy, it is that time of the episode. Let's go ahead and get to our Royals reviews. And if you don't mind, I'm going to start us off tonight. Sound good?
Go for it.
All right. So if you are an avid fan of baseball and you love hearing more about those little details and you want a fun way to take in some of the advanced analytics, I highly, highly suggest checking out Foolish Baseball on YouTube. I've been watching them for a couple of years now. I'm subscribed as well. A very, very big channel, but he covers just about everything under the sun that you want for baseball, talks about individual players, trends in baseball, and etc. I highly recommend watching his video on the World Series Royals. It's titled "The Royals Broke All the Rules and Won." Baseball Bits. It's an amazing series. I love it. I love the premise, and he just does great work over there. So go subscribe, go watch Foolish Baseball on YouTube. Jeremy, on to you.
All right, as I teased at the beginning of the show, I have a new obsession that almost made me late for the podcast.
Oh boy.
I picked it up yesterday, and I went to bed hours after my bedtime. So that obsession is, I cannot pronounce, I don't know how this name is pronounced. Balatro, 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 which is a video game that just came out a couple of days ago. It's on all platforms, I believe. And it is a card game roguelike. So if you know what a roguelike is, the idea is that you start a run and you're probably not going to finish it, and you get more powerful as you go, you get more options, and then you can come back and keep trying again. So this game is kind of like video poker. You get weird. So you get a hand of cards, and you get a goal of a certain number of chips that you need to earn, and each type of hand is worth a certain number of chips. And then it's also got a multiplier on it. So for example, the first level, you have to earn 300 chips. And if you get two pairs of, say, 7s and 4s, two pairs is I think it's you get 50 chips for that, and a multiplier times 2, and then you add the value of each of the cards that counted for the 2 pairs to it, and then that gives you your score. And you have to reach that amount of chips within usually 4 hands. There's cards that you can get that can expand that. It gets weird.
I bet it does.
So they have a mechanic called Joker cards. There are 150 Joker cards, which can add chip values. They can add multipliers. They can do all kinds of things to it. And then there's also tarot cards, which can change your card. You can make your card a wild card, so that counts as every suit. All kinds of bizarre things. And it's all with this pixel art and like some VHS kind of artifacts. I don't, you're probably too young for this, Jacob.
Oh, wow.
But VHS was what we had before DVDs, and the quality was not always great, especially if you watched them a bunch. So you'd sometimes get like little artifacts, like little lines of static across the screen really temporarily. So that kind of happens. And so you're playing this game, which is really simple to like start with and can get really complex. Those easy to learn, difficult to master kind of things. And it also feels like it's a little haunted. And it's I can't stop playing it. As soon as we leave, I'm gonna go play it some more.
Okay, it sounds really enjoyable. Where can folks find that game?
As far as I am aware, it's on all platforms. I know it's on PlayStation, and I know it's on Steam. I know it's Steam Deck playable, and I know it's on Switch. I'm pretty sure it's on Xbox. I don't know why it would be on all of those others and not also Xbox.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry, that was that's the dog making noises in the background.
For the dog to bark.
Yeah, they are ready for dinner. But that is going to do it for today's episode anyways. Please drop a 5-star review or a subscription wherever you are listening. It helps out the podcast immediately. But most importantly, make sure to check out Royals Review for the news, analysis, and commentary you need on all things Royals. From myself and Jeremy, thank you listeners for supporting us. We are so excited to be back 2 times a week for baseball's return. But we couldn't do this without you. And until next time, go Royals!